evening, viewers, family, loved ones, comrades, and compatriots. Thank you for joining us once again on our final segment of the day. Now, we are Letsema Live, and we talk all things Letsema, all things beneficial to society, all things beneficial to every walk of life in terms of those who participate and live in this country and in this society. Now, right now we have with us GBV and LGBTQI activist Comrade Kabelo with us. Comrade Kabelo, welcome. Thank you for coming to chat with us tonight.
And thank you for having me.
We look forward to rather engaging and educative conversations
Yeah.
tonight. Now, when I think about it on its face, it's not just GBV anymore, it's GBVF.
Yeah.
Why did we include that F? What was so significant to including that F?
It's because, in terms of GBV, we have been focusing on only particular things. And it just felt that we needed to be more broad and understand that GBV is not only one specific thing that is happening. There are also other layers of it. And thus we included the F so that we can also cover the broader layers of this thing.
And now, as society, I think quite often when people think gender-based violence, they never think about it in the broad sense of including the LGBTQI plus community. Now, they are also equally targeted. For time immemorial, we've known of hate crimes, sexual crimes against those who form part of the LGBTQI community. I think it's quite significant that we've come this far to not only look at gender as a young women, young children, vulnerable males type of situation, but also the LGBTQI community. Am I correct?
Yes, you're very much correct. As you're saying that GBV has been only looked as a young girl or woman or who, but it has been a thing that we also need to understand gender as sexuality as well, and it has become a thing that the LGBTI community, when speaking of GBV, were not considered as that, and thus it was hidden rather, in terms of hate crimes and whatever. But it also falls under GBV.
Yeah, so correct. Not only are the disabled as in danger, or rather, I don't want to say an endangered society, but I do have to say it in the context of South Africa, with some of the highest rape statistics, the highest murder statistics in the country. Those who see themselves in a sexually different light, the them sector of society, those who haven't quite figured themselves out. And I mean, if it takes a heterosexual person to figure themselves out by the age of 35, why would a young person who is still going through complete hormonal transitions not be an endangered person when they choose to understand themselves and want to be vocal about who they are? Why should we not consider them an endangered society? They are an endangered sector of society. Do you think that Letsema programs, such as the one that we are embarking on now, are the type of programs that can go out there and educate our communities on the sensitivities of not only the disabled, but the LGBTQI community?
Most definitely, most definitely. Look, we have had a number of programs that try to address issues, but Letsema is one of the programs that is more inclusive, that more sees the community as a community, and regardless of gender, sexuality, or geographical being. So it is a great initiative to include, especially the LGBT community, and as you are saying, the trans women and gender diverse individuals, who in most cases are called to be confused because of you are a woman, you're trying to be a man, and those confusions. Letsema is inclusive of those people to come in and educate the community so that it's a learn to teach type of a thing.
I think what I look forward to the most is opening up the space within political movements, moreover the ANC, which is home to all and sundry, for the LGBTQI community to find expression in Letsema programs and volunteerism, because that is what Letsema is all about. What type of programs do you think we can look forward to as contributed by the LGBTQI sector, the Young Women's Desk, the Women's League in particular as well, which are great champions of the LGBTQI community, to properly go out there, educate our communities, and have them rallying around, supporting, loving, and giving home within our communities to the LGBTQI community. That might actually be able to assist us in fighting the gender-based violence scourge in this country.
Yeah, one of the programs would be taking, it's always best hearing things from the person who is experiencing it. So taking the LGBTI community to be part of leading the talks in communities, that's where it would be able to start, so that the LGBTI community and the people that are going through these struggles are able to share with the communities how is it that they are experiencing life as it happens in communities. So programs such as those, having the LGBTI be in the forefront of these conversations would be great, and it's what I'm really looking forward to.
Now, you as we're talking, I'm remembering that last week on Metro FM, there was a discussion about gender-neutral bathrooms in schools. What would be your take on that? This is now from a completely personal point of view and not as a representative of the entire LGBTQI community.
Well, it would be a great initiative because, gender-specific bathrooms have always been a thing that, and it's always a case that gender non-conforming people are unable to feel comfortable in. So if we could have gender-neutral bathrooms in schools, it would also create some sort of brotherhood or sisterhood, or so some sort of a relationship amongst the learners, to say that there's no difference whatever gender you are or sexuality that you are, because at the end of the day we are all human.
We're definitely all human. If you cut us, we all bleed the same. Now, to take it a little further, what policies? Because workplace institutions are all about policies as well. What policies do we need in the workplace to have the LGBTQI community find themselves comfortable, assisted, and supported within the workplace? There's policies on maternity leave, paternity leave. What would be the LGBTQI community's take on where policy needs to go within the framework of workplaces?
It would definitely go in terms of, especially the leaves. For the trans community, they have their hormonal replacement treatments that sometimes requires them to be traveling, which would maybe need some leave. And one of the policies would be maybe in addressing, in terms of pronouns and how we address each other in the workplace, which is now a great deal, because there are people who wouldn't want to be addressed as a he or her, but as a they or them. So if such policies would be one of the things that is worked on in workplaces.
Family, friends, comrades, I think one of the most important things for the Letsema program to achieve its outcome, its desired outcome, would be for us to be able to understand the LGBTQI community, support them better, support initiatives where they undertake activism against gender-based violence. Because if we don't protect those vulnerable in our society, who are we going to protect? Comrade Kabelo, parting words from the LGBTQI community and against the scourge of gender-based violence in this country.
My parting words would be, we are all human, and I think it's almost like a song. It's almost so cliche that one would say we are all human. But at the end of the day, we are all human, and there shouldn't be different struggles for us. It should just be one struggle. So that would be my parting words. Let's all fight towards the same thing, and unite as one.
Unite as one and a luta continua. The struggle continues. We are all human, whether we are he, she, they, or them. After the ad break, we take this conversation a little deeper. See you in a bit.
Greetings, my name is Letsema Campaign and I'm the Provincial Secretary of SASCO in the Northern Cape. At SASCO, one of our pillars is community work, and this relates to the Letsema Campaign of the ANC. The Letsema Campaign seeks to build better communities, clean and safe communities. We'd like to pledge our support to this initiative. We'd like to encourage students, learners, volunteers of the ANC and the community at large to take part in this initiative. It is our responsibility to take care of our communities and to build the type of communities that we want. I am for Letsema, I am for my community.
And welcome back. Thank you to our viewers at home, comrades and compatriots. We're still together tonight talking all things LGBTQI and GBVF. Now that F stands for femicide, and we know that that scourge not only affects the LGBTQI community very deeply, but also young women, women in general, and children, and those most vulnerable in our society. Now, we're going to be taking that conversation a little further tonight with the one, the only, Dr. Gail Parker. Or should I say, Comrade Dr. Mami Gail Parker. Welcome, Comrade Gail. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm well. Thank you very much.
Watintum Bokoto, Watintum Fazi. You
Yeah,
strike a rock, you strike the nation.
Amen.
We've taken education to a whole other level when it comes to women. But where are we taking education when it comes to the LGBTQI community and society inclusivity?
You know, as the Women's League, we take this thing very serious. That's why we established a desk on LGBTQI, because we identify that there is a lack of understanding in communities. There's a lack of, you know, when you don't know about something, then you would fear it. And if you fear something, you would reject it. And as the Women's League, we specifically identified that that is an area in society where we need to engage in. And that's why our first attempt to address the issue of LGBTQI and femicide was education. Education, if the community is not educated, if the community is not aware about the struggles that members of the LGBTQI community face, then they would continue to ostracize them, they will continue to victimize them, they would continue to harass them, and that is why the Women's League said the only way that we can stop stemming the tide is to educate. And that is one of the issues that the LGBTQI desk in the Women's League is currently involved in, to educate society, to ensure that people understand, that people know the many challenges that members of the LGBTQI community are faced with daily, you know, even within themselves and with the community, even with their families. So those are the kind of compassion that we need to have. And if we understand and we've got compassion, then we'll be able to include them in our communities.
Now, when we think about stemming the tide, like you've said, as the Women's League and women in general, in terms of workplace forums and so forth, how are we going to say we're protecting the LGBTQI community? Like we just had a conversation with Comrade Kabelo. There are so many other reforms that still need to happen within the workplace. How do we take those forward, supporting them, not from a political point of view, but a workplace point of view, to make sure even there they find inclusivity, they find a safe space, especially amongst us as women?
You know, I think since the ANC took over government in 1994, we've seen a litany of policies, laws, changes of attitude that is encouraged in the workplace. So I think as it relates to policies, there's sufficient policy in government. As it relates to laws, I think this government has really managed through a legislative framework to open up a space where in the workplace members of the LGBTQI community can feel safe and feel that they are accepted. I still maintain that if people do not understand, if the education in the workplace even is not prioritized for community members of the staff, members of an organization, if they are not aware of what the policies of government is or of the workplace is, if they're not aware of what the laws are saying, then they will continue to transgress, they will continue to ostracize, they will continue to have their personal prejudices be expressed in the workplace. So I believe that education once more, government has done enough, I believe. The ANC has done enough, I believe. We now need to go to the hearts and minds of people, and therefore, the Letsema program is so important. Letsema wants to go out to our people and have one-on-ones, discussion, communication, education, sharing. And if I believe that through this program, we will be able to start something in communities that will eventually spiral out and go into the workplaces. So education, education, education. That is what I believe. And the Women's League is one of the organizations that I believe that has done a lot. We have been marching. Through our marches, we have raised awareness. We have been demonstrating. We have gone to, when people appear in courts, when people appear, especially in the workplace through the unions and so on, we have done our bit to make sure that we put it out there, we raise awareness and so on, and we need to continue doing that because, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So we need to make sure that people are aware and educated around these issues.
Now, the Women's League was formally accepted as the league and launched and verified in 1948. We talk about having come a long way, but when we look at GBVF in this country and the statistics, have we done enough truly to educate men, young men, even women, that you don't have to take it, you don't have to suffer in silence? I think Letsema programs, don't you think, actually, Comrade Gail, that Letsema programs in this regard could go the distance, especially when it comes to letting those who are vulnerable in our society know there's places that you can run to beyond houses of safety?
Indeed, indeed. And that is why I said, that's why I believe that as the Women's League, we need to really run with the vision of Letsema. We need to make sure that through the Letsema programs that we go out as the ANC into the communities, we start expressing exactly those kind of sentiments that, one death is one death too many. One rape is one rape too many. We have done enough. We have done so much. We have called in the assistance of men. We've got men's forums. We've got men that march with us. We've got men that say, not in my name. So I believe that there's sufficient awareness being raised. It's attitudes, I believe, that need to change. And that is a process, as you would know, about how we change society and how you change behavior. It's not a once-off event. It's something that is a process, and we need to bring on board quite a lot of stakeholders within this process. So, yes, I believe that it's a luta continua, as you have just said earlier. It's a struggle that we need to continue waging, and we need to bring on board all kind of stakeholders. We do have men that have partnered with us. We've even gotten the LGBTQI community that have partnered with us. So we've got the faith-based organizations that have partnered with us. So this is something, it's a fight. We as women, we are willing to fight it. We are going to go all the lengths that need to go for us to be able to deal with this scourge that is really devastating our communities and families in particular. You could imagine what our family is devastated when a father rapes a daughter. Can you imagine what happens to the extended family? Can you imagine what happens to the life of that person? And that young person has to grow up, become a mother or a father, and how that translates into the family. You're just creating a messed up, sick society if we do not deal with this scourge at this present moment. So as the Women's League, we are really calling on everybody in society to join us in our fight against GBVF. We need you. Every bit of help that we can get is welcome, because this is a tide that we need to stem. We cannot allow more and more communities to be ravaged by this monster.
Comrade Gail, Mommy, as I always affectionately express yourself to be, the churches are involved in this. Every possible sector of forums and communities and societal sectors are involved in this discussion, these initiatives. I think taking up arms, and you've just said it, taking up arms with the Letsema initiative and program and campaign is going to take this fight so much further.
And that's why I think I know that you should be aware that the president actually has termed this thing as a pandemic,
Yes.
the second pandemic. So I think with the president coming and leading this campaign, setting it off in the province, I think that we are going to go quite far, you know, in having our first, the leader of the organization and the leader of the country taking up the spear and saying that he's going to stand alongside us to fight this battle. So really we are encouraged, and we are really saying to the community that we invite you, join us, join the vision of the ANC, join the president as he will be leading us in this fight against GBVF. And I thank you very much.
Now, branches, Saturday is the day that you need to look forward to. Those who sit as part members of the Women's League, can we don our dukes, be there in our black and green? Those who form part of the LGBTQI community, can we come with our colorful flags and dressed to kill? For those of us who are Youth League members, Sanko members, YCL members, let us be there from our branches in regalia, making sure that the president of this country and the president of the ANC's voice, as he launches the Letsema program in this province, can only be heard from corner to corner of this planet. We thank you, good night, and thank you for joining us.